If you see my latest review video, then you'll probably be very familiar with this, Ed Hunter, the Iron Maiden PC game from 1999. Now, one thing you might recall from that video is the part where I said that there was an Iron Maiden game in development before this one. So what was that game? What was it about and what happened to it? Well, I hope to explain that in today's video. So welcome to episode 5 of the Intrigueatorium, where I'll take a look at Malt, the lost Iron Maiden game. On the 2nd of September 1996, heavy metal legends Iron Maiden released the single Virus. Virus was the first time the band had released a single that wasn't a song from a studio album since their cover of the Skyhook song Women in Uniform back in 1981.
It was 1980, you pillock.
Although there are some versions of their second album, Killers, which did include women in uniform, so you might not count that one. Now, even though Virus wasn't from a studio album, it was released to promote the upcoming compilation album, Best of the Beast. Best of the Beast was a collection of classic Maiden tunes, with one new song thrown in there to entice long-term fans who probably already had the other songs in some form or another. But Virus wasn't the only thing about Best of the Beast to get long-time fans excited. Some copies of the album came sporting a sticker which advertised something completely new. Available soon, Malt, Eddie's own 3D state-of-the-art computer game. A computer game featuring Iron Maiden's Eddie, and a 3D state-of-the-art one at that? Well, I'm certainly excited. According to the archived official Malt website, this game was being developed by Virtual Studios, not to be confused with the developer Virtual Studio, or the film financier Virtual Studios, or any of the other companies with the same or similar names. Virtual Studios were a video game developer founded in London in 1991. They developed some real old school VR games, mostly as promotional products for various companies. Some of the companies they produced products for included Goldschlager, Pirelli and Canon. They also developed some games that were not connected to well-known brands, such as their 1994 VR diving simulator Eagle's Nest, which was created using sonar data of the Eagle's Nest cave system in Florida. In 1997, PC Zone magazine would go to Virtual Studios headquarters for a look around and a chat with company founder Ian Capon. The resulting article begins with the following.
When you walk through the door at Virtual Studios HQ in sunny Barnes, southwest London, you can't help notice the rather crudely constructed VR headset sitting in the corner. It looks like some kind of cybergenetic offspring that's a result of a bizarre love pact between the bitch in Alien and a Hoover.
According to the website, they were developing games for the PC, Sony PlayStation and other third generation platforms. Although I think what they mean by third generation is what we would nowadays usually refer to as the 5th generation, at least in console terms anyway. Other than Malt, there doesn't appear to be any information anywhere about any of these games that they may have been working on, other than one game called Surreal. This was in development at the same time as Malt, and according to an article from the January 1997 issue of PC Zone magazine, this was a detailed high-res Tomb Raider style game. The journalist was very impressed with this game and said the following of it. In a corner of the office, some chap is sitting hunched over a PC on which is running a detailed high-res Tomb Raider style game. It looks awesome. The guy must hear my jaw drop to the ground. This game was going to use the same engine as Malt and was set to include around 50 characters that were apparently very highly detailed. This game was aiming for a release date of spring or summer 1997, but sadly it doesn't appear to have ever seen the light of day. Information on what happened to this company is pretty scarce and unfortunately it doesn't look like they survived Malt. Their website was taken offline by the year 2000 and, according to Companies London, Virtual Studios was dissolved on the 21st of September 1999. As for personnel, I've only been able to find a few names connected to the project. The directors of the company were Ian Capon and Peter Williams. Programmer Sean D. Soleil was brought on to work on the game in 1996. However, the following year, he left to join the Digital Village, the video game studio set up by Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy author Douglas Adams. Whilst at the Digital Village, Sean D. Soleil would work on the adventure game Starship Titanic. And as a quick aside, even though the Digital Village closed in 2001, their original website is still up in all of its Web 1.0 glory, as are the websites of Starship Titanic and the other associated games. According to the official Mount website, Mount was going to be a game where Eddie challenges the player to the ultimate in strategy, sleuth and survival. Travelling through 15 different worlds spanning 2 million years, your objective is to seek and destroy Eddie's energy pods, scattered around the universe, before he destroys it all. So unlike in Ed Hunter, Eddie was set to be the villain in Melt, and he wanted to destroy the world or possibly even the universe for some reason. So Eddie had his powers coded into 11 capsules or pods, which have been scattered throughout time. It would have been up to the player to travel through time, seeking out these pods and destroying them to stop Eddie's evil plan.
The locations of these pods would have been randomised every time you play.
The levels were set to be based on a Jurassic Island, Ancient Egypt and Stonehenge, as well as a bunch of sci-fi spacey kind of levels. Gameplay wise, not much is known about Melt, but the website did say the following. Melt is unique, allowing players to compete in first person perspective, with each adventure entirely different depending upon the duration of the gameplay selected. No game is ever the same. So unlike Ed Hunter, Melt wasn't set to be a completely linear experience, and the players would have been free to play the levels in any order they wished. Details on genre and how the game would be played are particularly thin. However, this rather tiny low-res GIF has survived. This shows that the game was likely going to be some kind of first-person shooter. We can see a crosshair turning from green to red as it gets this hulking ice monster in its sights, and then shooting at it. The website didn't state if this was going to be an on-rails type of shooter like Ed Hunter, or if you would have been able to freely move around. One of the features of this game is that it was going to let the player choose the duration of the playtime, ranging from a short 30 minutes to an absolute marathon 5 hours. So the fixed duration does make me suspect that this game would have been on rails, as that wouldn't really work if it wasn't. So unless these are just time limits and the size of the levels themselves change depending on the duration that you select. The website said that the hyperspace level would have been the ultimate test of your flying and shooting skills, as your ship must not come into contact with the walls of hyperspace. This reveals that the player would have been piloting some sort of ship, and that the player would have had some control over its movements. So with the information available, I could hazard a guess that this would have been an on-rails shooter where the player would have still had some control over their movement, much akin to games like Star Fox or Panzer Dragoon. But then again, the website did state that also you aren't restricted in your movement around the world, so maybe it wouldn't have been on rails. And that article from PC Zone that I mentioned earlier, well, they also said this. Melt is just one of the new releases the Virtual Studios team are working on at the moment. Essentially, it's another 3D shoot 'em come explore 'em up. So that explore 'em up part really does suggest that the game wasn't on rails and that you could freely fly around.
There's an old IGN article from 1997 that claimed that Melt would have been similar to the Dark Souls predecessor, Kingsfield. This, however, doesn't seem to align with the information from the official Melt website.
These pre-rendered images show what the ship would have looked like, as well as what the level select screen would have been like, and of course, Eddie. As for videos and screenshots of actual gameplay footage, other than that one GIF I shown earlier, we don't really have much. We have a handful of static screenshots showing an icy level, a volcanic level, a big mech thing, a very angular satyr, and a presumably evil wizard. The wizard one shows a more complete HUD, so this one is probably from a bit later on in development, and is probably closer to what the final game would have been like. We do also have this rather cool little teaser complete with audio. Melt was going to include a sub-game called Therapy, where the player could gamble their weapons or energy at any time to try and gain the upper hand. However, there are no details out there on what Therapy would have actually involved. Not only was Melt going to be centred on Iron Maiden's mascot Eddie, you would have had some of their songs in the soundtrack too. However, unlike Ed Hunter, where you would hear the songs throughout your playtime, that wouldn't be the case with Melt. That PC Zone article stated that the highlights of certain tracks would only kick in when you're about to die or are running out of time on a certain level, meaning you'd probably only get up to about 30 seconds of a song at a time. This article also revealed that only one of the members of Virtual Studio's team was even a fan of the band, so maybe that had something to do with it. Apparently Melt was to be one of the first 3D games to fully utilise Microsoft's DirectX technology, and was in development for PC and Sony PlayStation. This poster for the Best of the Beast compilation album features an image of the PlayStation box art for Melt, but that of course could have just been a placeholder and may not have been what the final artwork would have actually looked like.
There was a very short preview article about this game published in the June 1996 issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly. According to this article, this game was going to be published by American Softworks. The American Softworks Corporation, or ASC, were a video games publisher that was active from 1992 to 2000. Among their list of published games includes the PC versions of the original Grand Theft Auto in North America. However, according to the official Melt website and the aforementioned IGN article, this game would have been published by Castle Multimedia. This company was a subsidiary of Castle Communications, but didn't appear to have put out any other games. But they did release some music video CDs from artists such as Alice Cooper, Bob Marley and the Rolling Stones. Later in development, the publisher appears to have been changed to Maxium Limited, as evident on a capture of the Melt website from April 1997. Unfortunately, almost all traces of this publisher's very existence appear to have been wiped from the internet. Other than the fact that they were going to publish Melt, I haven't been able to find out anything else about them. Perhaps the EGM article was wrong about ASC being the publisher, or maybe they were just going to be the publisher in North America, as they seem to mainly operate on that continent. And EGM was an American magazine, so it makes sense that they'd focus on North America.
Melt was originally scheduled for release in November 1996. However, this date came and went and fans were left waiting. Nothing much about the game was said by the band or the developer, and the official website for the game wouldn't receive any updates either.
On the 26th of November 1996, the official Iron Maiden website would post a news update in which they confirmed that the releases of both Melt and the Best of the Beast VHS had been put back to March 1997 due to technical problems. The "Check out the Melt game page" bit on the bottom of the official Iron Maiden website was still present on the website by June 1997. There could have been other update posts about Melt on the official Iron Maiden website, but they may have just not been archived.
And nothing more would be heard about Melt until the 18th of September 1997. On this day, Iron Maiden would post a news update on their website. This post included information on the new album that was in the works, the tour that would follow, and a new range of merchandise. This post would also confirm the fate of Melt. The website stated that the original game, Melt, was scrapped. The band didn't really go into any details as to why the game was scrapped, but poor quality could have been to blame, as then vocalist Blaze Bayley did say, "It was crap. Maiden want to give their fans something to blow them away. This new one will." There of course could have been other reasons as to why Melt was scrapped, and Blaze may have said what he said simply to reassure fans who were excited about the idea of an Iron Maiden game, and to stop them being too disappointed that they were going to have to wait even longer to get one. And the new one, of course, was Headhunter, which was announced in that same post. The new game has been developed since early this year by Synthetic Dimensions, who have been responsible for a number of recent successes such as Corporation, Legends of Valor and Perfect Assassin. And with that, Melt was cast aside and Headhunter would be brought in and given the honour of becoming the first ever official Iron Maiden video game to get released. As we know, this wasn't the end of Iron Maiden's foray into the world of gaming. In that post that condemned Melt, Headhunter was announced and given a release date of spring 1998. The game missed that release date and wouldn't surface until May 1999. Throughout the noughties and into the 2010s, Maiden would have numerous in-browser flash games to play on their website. I know these may seem pretty basic and generally they kind of are, but as a kid I put so much time into these because I just thought that an official Iron Maiden game was just the coolest thing in the world. In 2016, Iron Maiden would release the gacha RPG style game Iron Maiden Legacy of the Beast for Android and iOS. That game has quite a following and is still going strong to this day. And that brings us up to date on the history of Iron Maiden's video games. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to share, comment, like, subscribe and all that lot if you did. Remember to smack that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I'd also like to give a humongous, mega awesome, super hyper thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters, including Adam Phillips, Branwen Shoup, Daniel Martins, Christopher Turnbull, Eddie, Jeffrey Easton, House of the Ted, Magnus Verse, Mr. Wolford and Stuart Christopher Brownlee. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. You are awesome! And if you want to see more Iron Maiden gaming related videos, then well, watch my previous video where I looked at Headhunter, the game that actually did come out. And well, I think that's all of it for now, so until next time. Peace!